Hello, and welcome to the 34th podcast? I think it's 34, where we're going to be talking about when we'll be safe to start gaming in groups again. I am Steve, I forgot my name, and today I am joined by...
I am also Daryl. Am I Bernard?
I don't know.
No, I'm Ian.
Ah, okay.
Man, I wish I
That's
was
the one
a
we've-
Bernard. Don't you think I'd see a Bernard?
Really like the idea you went.
I don't know
I'm
if
Steve.
anyone suits a Bernard. I don't know.
Bernard's watch.
I've
Uh,
not met someone called Bernard in my entire life.
really?
No. I'm pretty sure I've never met a Bernard before.
Never met a Bernard.
No.
Shocking.
Anyway, let's
You heard
talk
it here
about
first.
what-
Steve has never met a Bernard.
Yeah. Okay, what's been going on the website recently? Well, we have finished our minicast series, which concluded with Chronicles of Crime and Men at Work. There has also been an unboxing video released recently, and that includes such games as Living Planet, Jewelasaur Island, and some core space stuff. If you want to find those, you can either find them on our YouTube channel or you can go to everybodydice.com and they're all on there. Great. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, right.
Mediocre at best.
Me at best.
At best.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, mediocre at best.
Wow, that's...
It's because there's no pudding. I have no pudding left in the house.
You have no pudding.
Yeah, well, I made a cake and I've got to keep 2 slices because if I eat the whole of that cake, I'll be a fat fatty. But
So
like-
there is pudding in your house?
yeah, but I'm it's self-control.
Laura is making a biscotti cheesecake.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, shut up,
Wait,
Daryl.
what?
I don't like cheesecake. You had me at biscotti
What?
and then you said cheesecake. We've been through this. I'm not a fan
Hang
of
on.
cheesecake.
Hang on, I'm
Oh,
going on to Skype. I'm
man.
going to kick Daryl. He's no longer part of Everybody Dice.
We've been through this like multiple times.
I think I raise it from my memory each time because otherwise I lose respect for you.
Wow.
Like, not like cheesecake.
I mean, it is pretty shameful.
Yeah,
Mate,
I've
I'm not
ordered
being
some
funny.
honey rum.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say if you're going to say no to that one, I would just cut the Skype.
Oh come on! Oh come on! We all know my penchant for flavoured rums, but cheese in a cake is not, or cheese in anything like that is just not right.
Well, I thought you were about to dish cheese then.
No, I love cheese,
Yeah.
but not.
I know
cream
where
cheese.
you live.
Yeah,
Cake form.
not in cake form.
Okay.
Puff pastry maybe. Puff pastry, 100%. Like cheese puffs, but or cheese twists, but not in a cakey form.
So in other words, you want cheese to stay in the realm of savoury foods?
Yeah, 100%. Cheese is a savoury boy.
How do
I
you
respect
feel about
it.
pineapple making the transition into savoury foods when it's a sweet food?
I don't have pineapple on pizza. If that's what you're about to say.
Well, no, but it does. It often gets put with cheese and stuff as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it does,
tend
yeah.
to separate them. To be honest with you, I'm not really a fan of having the cheese sticks with pineapple sticks.
Fair enough.
Never. Yeah.
I'm not
I'll
going
eat
to
the
judge you for
pine-
that one. I think that it.
What about pineapple in sweet and sour?
No, I'm not a huge fan of that sort of Chinese food.
Sweet and sour, I'll accept sweet and sour because it's kind of you know what you're getting with it because it is.
It's written on the label.
Yeah,
It's
it's
sweet,
written on the
yes.
label.
It-
Yeah,
It suffers from Ronseal syndrome.
yeah,
so-
100%. It does exactly what it says on the tin.
Excuse me,
Anyway.
madam, I bought this bread and it doesn't say starchy and sour on the label.
Shall we get into what we've been playing?
Yeah,
Yes.
if you want. I was going to talk about pineapples for the next hour, but if you want to drag us back on track, that's fine.
Oh, wow. That track, getting back on track, that transitions nicely into what I've been playing. I've been playing a little bit of Railroad Inc. on my lonesome. Daryl, you've played Railroad Inc. briefly before, haven't you?
Yes, I've played Railroad Inc. I don't know why we keep it like. Yeah, it's the one where you like have the little pen and the dabber, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
roll dice.
Yeah, I
It has
surprisingly really
picture
like that.
track. It's amazing. Even playing as one player, you're meant to like compete for the best score, but there's nothing wrong with just playing it single player and just challenging your own score. And it's really relaxing. Like I've played it before in a room of people in absolute silence, just everyone just concentrating on drawing little tracks around things. It's incredible. But I'm gonna brag a little here.
Yeah.
I probably got my best score ever. 9 connections, only 1 error, 61 points. I am dead happy with that. I won't go into Railroad Inc. too much because it kind of like already sounds like I've talked it up enough already. It's just a fantastic roll and write game. You get it in 2 different versions as well. You've got the blue version and the red version. So you've got volcanoes on one and lakes on the other.
That's cool.
So it's got loads of little expansions to it as well, which is really, really neat. Yeah. And Railroad Inc. I would very much recommend, especially at the moment. It's a nice little game to bring out and play when you're on your own.
It's also a great game that can make that transition into multiplayer when you can see people again.
Oh god, yeah, you can, if you get both boxes and add them together, you can have up to 16 players, I think. It's something ridiculous like that. But I believe it's also on Tabletop Simulator as well.
Wouldn't surprise
So I
me.
think they've made like use of decals and things like that, so you can actually stamp things on there. It looks really good. I wish I could get on Tabletop Simulator, but my laptop is not much good for anything other than making videos, so yeah, I'm going to try and fix that sometime soon. I've also been playing another game that we've all played, that is Zaire, Legends of a Drift System.
Yeah.
Essentially a big sandbox game. When we played this before, we didn't use the NPCs. I think it kind of like, it says in there, I think when we played it, it was the first time we'd ever played it. And it says, for your first game, don't use the NPCs. The merchant, the enforcer, and the scoundrel, it is. I've been playing the expansion, which includes a solo variant, which kind of like sets you up a target. So, can you guys remember you had kind of like a fame tracker?
Yeah.
And yeah, you set your fame to a certain point, and that's how you win the game. In the solo mode, you draw an event at the beginning of it. Not an event, sorry, a campaign mission. You have to make sure that so many of your points are gained in a very specific way. So it might be 7 out of your 15 points have to have been gained through doing missions, for example. So you have to play in a very set way. So although you're moving, you're like improving your ship and being able to take it throughout lots of different games, you may have to change it from game to game because one ship that you currently have built might not suit the next game, if that makes sense. Going back to the NPCs though, the thing that's really interesting about them is what it makes players do. So when we were playing first time, I don't think anyone wanted to risk becoming an outlaw, did they?
Did Ian?
I think Ian killed you for his last point to win the game.
But
Yeah.
also,
At
I
which
think
point-
you were, didn't you go through like a thing illegally?
Yeah, you can either go through barriers
Yeah,
and
I think I
gain a
did.
bounty, or you can, or there are like bandit planets, which if you're caught going into, again, you get an outlaw, a bounty put on you as well. So the interesting thing is when the merchant comes onto the map, he can select, he kind of like starts moving around the map, and as he's moving around the map between when he's moving around the map between planets, he's gaining more and more wealth. So you kind of get to a point where players may be thinking it may be worth getting a bounty on my head to steal all the riches that that merchant ship has.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. However, there's also the enforcer on the map as an NPC, and the enforcer will literally hunt down any outlaws on the map. It will just relentlessly pursue them. which is kind of cool. It does patrol the map as well, so there are a number of lawful planets that the Enforcer kind of patrols between. So I know there is a limit as to how far away you can be before he starts pursuing you, but he will always pursue outlaws that are a certain distance away from him. And you can pretty much guess what the scoundrel does. The scoundrel just does whatever the hell just shoots down anyone that's anywhere near him, basically. But yeah, they added that nice little extra dynamic to the game because it can make people do things that they wouldn't normally do, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think they've done really well with their solo expansion. I think if you enjoy like sandbox games and things like that, I still think Xayah is a whole lot better than Western Legends. I don't know what you guys think.
I don't think I ever played Western Legends. I only played Xayah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Xayah's better.
Yeah, I think we started finding a few problems with Western Legends, whereas Xayah actually does seem fairly solid.
It
certainly
it's
has
a balance issue, wasn't it, we had with Western Legends.
And I think we did have a balance issue with Xayah where you could go between two planets that were close to one another and just constantly trade between them and get loads of points. That's been fixed in the expansion, so you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Where it's been actively sorted in that one. In Western Legends, I think the problem we had was you could play an outlawish character, and the downside to being shot down by a sheriff or a marshal or something is so small that you could just go back to what you're doing and carry on what you're doing, and you'd still ramp up points quicker than everybody else. It's not enough of a downside.
Yeah, I think as well in Western Legends, although you can't, on the turn that you get let out of jail, you can't go straight to the bank. In the turn after, you can just go to the bank and rob it again, and it's literally right next to the jail where you come out of. And yeah, I think that caused a few ways of kind of like cheesing the game a bit. Anyway, Xayah, do you know what? That's another game I would recommend in lockdown then. If you don't mind buying both a game and an expansion to it, the solo game actually works out really well. It's kind of like a nice little adventure mode you can just play by yourself. Our wrestling RPG carried on.
Oh yeah.
It did.
It did, yes. We had the Regal Wrangle, which was the equivalent of a Royal Rumble.
The Regal Wrangle, I did love that.
Yep. So, what happened exactly? We had a new character introduced, which was our alien.
Oh god.
I love that. I love the fact we're both like, oh.
It's very much like a B-movie Alien as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It comes down in the flying saucer, the grey man kind of thing.
Yeah.
As a human being, it's a very Phil thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh man, so the alien as well, the handyman, he was called. He ended up lasting till the last two with our resident Sultan of Slam.
Yeah, the Sultan of Slam is much better than I thought he was going to be. Like, he's much more important to the story than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be like the pantomime villain every now and then, but
he's kind of just killing everyone, isn't he? Just absolutely murdering. In fact, one of his early victims has been taken away under mysterious circumstances.
Oh yeah, during the Royal Wrangle, Johnny Wrestling, who the Sultan of Slam pulled the heart out of in his debut.
The Kali Ma.
The Kali Ma. The guy has been dragged away by a mysterious necromantic hooded figure. So yeah, I'm expecting.
He did get thrown in the ring though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
he got thrown in as a part. Like,
entrant.
oh, it was so funny.
He was in, but
really,
not for long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of like really upset because I couldn't get the music working.
Yeah.
I was completely unprepared and didn't have my music set up is more the issue. And I really wanted his music to hit straight away just for that those couple of moments when, oh my god, this is Johnny Wrestling coming
He's back!
and just, yeah, but sadly that didn't quite come into fruition. What happened to El Perro in that one? He lasted a long time, because El Perro and Sultan of Slam were our first entrants.
Yeah, so basically...
There was like a nodded agreement between the two. A sort of mutual begrudging respect, I think.
Yeah, as part of the tag team, sort of. But basically, I think I lost track of... So one of the options for kind of throwing someone out of the ring or like maintaining stuff like that was the ability to gain momentum, wasn't it? So you could either throw someone out, gain momentum, or whatever. And I don't think I was stacking enough or banking enough momentum. I was sort of too busy doing the game as like trying to get the people out. So when it came to sort of the end, you and the handyman had so much momentum stacked up that it was just like back and forth, back and forth.
4 or 5 momentum.
So good.
I had 4-ish momentum, and then I did a thing on Handyman, Phil's little alien boy.
Yeah, to get more, wasn't it?
And I thought, I'm going to bank more momentum, I'm going to need it. So I finished the game with loads of momentum. And
it was ridiculous.
I think, yeah, it was good. I didn't know, because obviously it is wrestling, and there is a set winner.
There is, yeah.
It was...
What I can actually reveal was the plan was originally to have
Cheddar.
The handyman would eventually go out, and Kevin Cheddar, which was Phil's other character, he currently has 2 characters, was going to come in as the last entrant, and the idea was he was going to fluke his way to victory.
Sweet victory.
But I also let Phil know that if, for whatever reason, Handyman stays in until the end, I'm just going to let it ride, and whoever wins, wins. And that's actually what happened. So,
yeah,
sorry, Ian,
so I think you'd set up in such a way, haven't you, that Richard Wealthyman is the current reigning champ, and he's sort of trying to twist it so he gets an easier championship fight, isn't he?
Oh, he's like everyone's in his back pocket. He's basically paying everyone off. So,
so I think he wanted to fight Cheds, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think the other implication was that was completely set up, that it was El Perro and the Sultan of Slam that were the first 2 in. They're the 2 people he doesn't want to face, so he obviously worked it in such a way that they were the first 2 in the ring. So, yeah, that was the implication there. And also, interestingly enough, if you kind of... Sultan of Slam kind of saved El Perro without even knowing it. No, literally, you guys didn't know this. I'm okay to tell you now because it didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
El Perro kind of said, "Let's go out and just get Richard Wealthyman." I had it written.
Oh
down
yeah, that bit at the start, yeah.
Yeah, I had it written down on a piece of paper of if anyone attacks Richard Wealthyman throughout the night, he will cost them. So that kind of saved you there, and I don't mind saying that at this point. I really don't mind saying that.
Oh, I thought you meant like earlier on.
It didn't happen.
I had a sort of thought that in my head that if any of us left the ring for any reason, even if it was legal leaving the ring, like not over the top ropes, I just had this image that it was going to get twisted in such a way that Wealthyman forced it, that it sort of... Like when Daryl got chucked over the ring as well at one point, I was thinking, Wealthyman's gonna change it so it looks like he touched the ground or something and claim that he's out or something like that. I don't trust the guy.
There was things like I wasn't gonna get him to just screw over someone because I felt that was a little unfair in terms of the RPG. But it was going to be if someone did a very certain thing and it was their own choice to do it, he was going to do something back. And no one bit for that in the end, so that was kind of neat. So
it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I tried to make sure that I've written all of the triggers though down on a piece of paper, just in case anyone said, "Oh, that's a bit unfair" or something like that. Just so that I haven't just decided, I don't like where this narrative's going. I'm gonna have someone screw someone over. You know, it just kind of feels like you can set traps, but you have to let people walk into those traps rather than forcing them into them. But yeah, I mean, that was quite neat to play around with that and stuff. So It was cool. Yeah, so our Sultan of Slam is moving on to the pay-per-view to fight Richard Wealthy Man for the title. And that's not where we're going to go next with the RPG. We still have one more episode to go until the pay-per-view. So.
Yeah, so the pay-per-view is going to be the tag team. Is that going to happen on the pay-per-view, or is that after?
Well, Sultan of Slam is now in 2 matches on the pay-per-view. Because the one match going into the pay-per-view that was already set in stone was the Tag Team Championship match. So Sultan of Slam is now also in the main event fighting for the title as well.
God.
Yep.
Man, he's a big boy with an iron chest. There's nobody has no one has successfully attacked his torso throughout any of the matches we've done. Anyone that's attacked his torso has rolled like 1 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like you break your hand on the Sultan's torso.
That is exactly what's been happening. It's been amazing. It's been good. I've been really enjoying doing it. We might be able to. I don't know whether we can carry on this Friday or not. To be honest, it really depends.
It depends. I will be back at work, but
yeah, exactly. I don't know because we like to get our patrons, which you can go to patreon.com/everybodydice and get access to our Discord channel, where you can actually join in with our RPG if you'd like. I don't know whether we'll be running it this Friday, though, because it's all a matter of availability, really. When we do run the next one, and you will be notified on the Patreon page at least 3 days in advance, I would say. You can hop in and join in with us. So, yeah. Right, what next? Rallyman GT. I have played it, and boy, do I like it. Probably the closest thing I can compare it to is Formula D. I've not played Downforce. It could be very similar to that as well. It's another one of a push your luck dice rolling game. And it does kind of use gears as well, but in a completely different way to Formula D. What's really interesting is you've got a dashboard, and you can set your tyres at the beginning of the game. So if you're on if it's a sunny weather condition and you're using asphalt tyres, you have access to 6 gear dice, 2 coast dice, and 3 braking dice, I believe, or it might be 2 braking dice, something like that. And you can only go up your gears sequentially, again, like in Formula D. So if you're starting in 3rd gear, you can either go up to, if you're starting in 3rd gear, you can either go up to 4th gear or drop down to 2nd gear when you move into the next space. So your gears are actually decided on space by space. The 6 gear dice you've got are actually all numbered 1 to 6, which means when you plan out your route, because the idea is what you do is you plan out your route and then you roll all the dice to see whether you spin out or not. So the further you travel, the more likely you are to spin out, and then you have to spend a turn turning your car around. It's interesting because it's challenging in a completely different way to Formula D, because you know that if you use your 1st gear dice, your 2nd gear dice, your 3rd gear dice, and then you're hitting a corner which requires you to drop back down to 2nd gear, you can't drop down to 2nd gear because you've already used your 2nd gear dice. So you kind of have to, you then have to stop your turn there. You literally can only roll 3 dice. Whereas what you could have done is use your 1st gear dice to move up, and then your coast dice allow you to extend the speed for that much longer. So in other words, if you play 2 white coast dice, it means you're in 1st gear for the first 3 spaces, then you can move to 2 to move into the corner which had a speed limit of 2nd gear, say, and then move into 3rd afterwards. So every move is kind of like a puzzle. You then roll your dice, and if you roll 3 exclamation points, it is on the standard dashboard, you spin out, and something bad could happen. You could take damage, which might mean you roll less dice.
Okay.
That's essentially how you race around the track in the game. So, like I say, it's similar whilst different enough from Formula D. You cannot crash out in Rallyman GT.
That's where all the fun is.
Trust me, this is fun in a different way. You can't crash out, but it's designed in such a way that you can maneuver your car in order to screw with other people. So you can box people in, you can force people to drive through tracks where sometimes there's a dotted line that will have a number next to it. So sometimes you might have a corner that has the speed limit of you have to be in third gear or less, and then there's a dotted line that then says 1 on it or something like that, which means it means if you're going directly from one square into that one without, say, going diagonally into it, it kind of simulates you taking the corner sharply. So then if you're moving from that space to that space, you have to drop down to first gear rather than third. So someone can quite easily box someone in so they can't move diagonally and force them to go through that dotted line that says 1 on whilst they're in third gear and force them to spin out. The funniest thing I think you can do in the game, though, is you can't overtake a car that is currently in a higher gear than you.
Okay.
So what someone can potentially do in the game is make sure, like, say if you've got three lanes in the track, someone can put themselves up into 6th gear deliberately and then just take the center of the track. So then the only way people can go past them is if they can get up into 6th gear to go past them. So there's lots of things you can do to screw other people up in this game. I've played the solo mode of it, and I've kind of like played a phantom game of it. The solo mode is just a time trial around the track, so I haven't seen yet the full fun of being able to play this and mess with your friends. It looks really, really interesting though. I can see why this is so hard to get hold of and people keep buying it, because the system looks like it works fantastically. Because what this is actually simulating that Formula D doesn't necessarily do is the idea of driving lines and how you move across the track. There is an optimal route round the track that you have to figure out. There is that in Formula D to an extent, but it's only on the rolls of the dice. It's not so much about your positioning on the track necessarily. And your rolls with the dice can actually kind of screw with that, because you might not roll the number that you necessarily want. Whereas in Rallyman GT, you are moving the distance that you want to move. You're just trying not to spin out whilst doing it. So it does simulate that whole racing, the optimal drive line, a hell of a lot better than any other game that I've seen. But yeah, so far, that's what I think of Rallyman GT. It looks very, very promising. It's one I'm really looking forward to getting to the table sometime soon. Well, hopefully sometime soon, but hey, we'll get to that later.
You need a really catchy jingle for getting to the table.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's the name of a good video.
That'd be a really good catchphrase as well.
Get it to the table.
Get it to the table!
Yeah. Right, I have missed this recently. Our Call of Cthulhu RPG. I have not played a single session of this, so I'm very much leaving this now to you guys.
Yum, yum, yum.
You have played a session of it, but you haven't played it between the last podcast.
Yeah, so we talked about it on the last podcast, the first session we ran, and I've missed the next two. Yeah, I've missed the next two, and there's been a whole new campaign run as well, hasn't there?
There's a side campaign that Phil's running, which is like a Orient Express campaign.
Yeah,
set in the 1920s.
Yes, I'm playing an eccentric German.
Oh my god, a baron, a German baron.
He is Baron Heinrich von Uberwurst.
Oh my god, man. Honestly, it's ridiculous, man. He's so jolly.
Is it something to? Is that big sausage or something like that?
Yeah. It's not big sausage.
Yeah.
I think it's like super sausage.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, that's amazing.
His whole story is that he was like because he's like technically German royalty. During World War One, he flew in like a fighter plane, and he got shot down and crashed behind enemy lines, and the British captured him with the intention of being like, oh, we'll give him like this big lovely house, what he's used to, and like we'll like give him like really nice digs and like treat him, give him some money, and like we'll look after him in the UK, and he can be like counterintelligence style, like tell us things about German command so that we can get one over them. Turns out he's a dumbass. So they did all this stuff and like put him up in this really big house, and they were like, oh yeah, tell us about Kaiser Wilhelm and what he's going to do. He's like, oh, I do not talk to him very much. I think he finds me quite annoying. Actually, do not speak to any of my family. I kind of just fly the planes, and even then, the other pilots do not talk to me. And it's like, it turns out they captured and set up for life a German person of no use or import. But and I play him. He's extremely intelligent. Like he picks up knowledge. He listens. It looks like he's a bumbling cretin, but he does like listen and pick things up.
Oddly, he's really good at like. So there's been a couple of things where, obviously, because it's set in the past, it's 1920s. Oh no, it's 1933. I think we're doing this one, and
yeah, basically.
Where in the other campaign we'd be Googling stuff or using the internet, it's a lot of library use, which has been a bit more of a... It's more interesting because it takes a hell of a lot longer, which is a really, really cool fact, part of it. But one of our friends, Rhiannon's character, she's very book-orientated as well, so she goes off to do the research, but Ian's character is just so good on the rolls with it that he just spots them, and every single time there's like this kind of little joke thing where it goes, oh, I found it, maybe it's this one, and then it's like, oh, that's the one I was looking for. Just instantly.
I think the idea is he's got really good library use, he's got really good spot hidden and stuff like that, so he's got like good things you would have had as a pilot. So his pilot skill's like 85. He's a really good pilot.
Did you actually spec into pilot?
Yeah.
Are you hoping...
I pumped as many of my points as possible into pilot because I didn't want him to be overpowered because I rolled like max stats.
Are you hoping that there will be a part where you have to fly? Because I really hope you do. I hope
he's really good at it as well. So like he'll do
so
really well.
Good. I really want to be like Tailspin.
He's a good navigator. He's good at spot hidden because he can spot things from the air. He's quite good with his history. But I figured a man under house arrest would have really good library use. He would just spend a lot of time reading and things like that. So he's got really good library use. And then Ree's character's got kind of decent to average library use, but good knowledge of what we need to look for. So she's like, oh, I need something like this. And he's like, oh, I've been in this library before. It will be over here. And finds it instantly. And like he's got no idea what it is, but he's read it. He's been like at one point, Ree's character wasn't allowed into a club because she's female.
Yeah,
because that's the time.
1920s.
I think it's 1923. So it's sort of, she would not be allowed in. And my character is so irritating. He sort of irritated and talked to the guy at the door until she was allowed in. He was like, oh, my friend, she is more of a gentleman than I am. She is, as you say, very good show. A jolly good show, yeah? And he's like, okay, what? It's like, and it's just, my character's talking at him in German constantly.
So ridiculous.
And it's like, oh, have you been inside? She would very much like to go inside. I go inside all of the time. Oh, they do a very good brandy inside. She very much like to try the brandy. Would you like to try the brandy? And it's just constant. And eventually the guy just buckled and let her in.
It's ridiculous. Like the amount of times he's just like, I'm gonna go with them because I would obviously be following her like a dog, and it's like a puppy. He follows people like he follows us around like a puppy, and it's just like I was having breakfast, which doesn't sound that interesting, but it's part of it. And he just goes, "Oh, you must try the sausage," and I'm like, "Oh god."
But the best bit about it, he's sort of German royalty as well. So he's got no concept of like people's livelihoods. He's the richest character in the group. And like at one point, me and Daryl's character are having breakfast together, and Daryl's character went to grab the newspaper, and he went, "No, you do not have to read that, boy!" And it calls over a manservant. It's like, "Read us the newspaper."
But because of that,
he is very good. The pronunciation of the words is brilliant.
so because of this richer style, which is actually really funny. Apparently, Phil was telling us if we'd have read the paper ourselves, we would have seen the part of the house that had burnt down, which we were about to find out. But we would have found out about it a lot earlier, whereas the guy didn't read it, so we never found out.
So we didn't read the newspaper, so we didn't spot the story. And Andy and Ree's characters are French and refuse to read an English newspaper.
It's so good. It's so good. Andy is typical French.
Their two characters are both French. And they're both so rude.
Yeah.
And like they were staying in the same hotel and they just ignored each other. And it's, it's just so good.
It's like Andy gives 1 or 2 word answers. Like English peak. And you're like, alright, okay.
I love how it sounds like every single one of these Cthulhu games we seem to play, everyone's a miserable bastard except for one person.
What, June?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
to be
you
fair.
mean-
Oh, right,
German.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, my
June in the
character's
other
not too bad.
campaign. You keep breaking and entering and trying to set fire to things. It's not.
What? No, not that one. The 20s, the 1930s one.
Oh yeah.
The other one's a
Yeah,
weirdo.
Your posh guy's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You wait.
Oh, man. How's that campaign been going? Because I literally haven't heard a thing about
Well,
it. So.
we.
I don't know, should I be hearing about it? Or...
yeah.
Sort of assumed your character's just doing his own thing because he's an asshole.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Basically, you were there with the angel one, weren't you? Most of it.
Where the angel first appeared.
Yeah, so that one became quite weird and disturbing towards the end. A lot of us got injured. Andy ended up getting put in a wheelchair for quite a significant amount of time because we did a side quest.
Yeah.
Where he ended up getting attacked by a zombie wielding a meat hook.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was incredible, and like no matter what, these things were just like barbaric. Like it took one of Ian's friends, Derry's character, who carried a massive machine gun around for some reason.
You're like this. Just Derry came in halfway through the campaign.
So funny.
And he rolled his character as like a 60-something-year-old man called Brian from Yorkshire.
Very, very.
So he's a really old Yorkshireman, but he's an old famous wrestler. So he used to be a wrestler whose thing was that he dressed up as a robot and punched things called Punchbot. So he's really rich, and like occasionally
So
people
funny.
recognise him. But like with his money, he bought a golden DeLorean and like a World War One era heavy machine gun.
But what's really weird about this?
We were fighting these zombies, and
so
Dave said, "I'm gonna go pop to car," and just wanders out. Comes back with like a Browning machine gun and starts mowing down zombies, and we're like, "What the fuck?"
So the thing that makes me laugh about him is because somehow his credit rating is the thing that always gets like checked. He gets into places so much easier than anyone else. There's no infiltration. He's just like, "I've heard about your church. I'd like to come and have a look," and they just let him in. And they're like, "Oh yes,
They're
yes,
like,
we know
oh my
you."
god, it's Megahertz, the wrestler.
You're like, what? And he's just like, and then now he's got this new thing where he's like, "Brian Smash," and just breaks stuff, and it works. It's so good.
There's a door in our way. We've tried to lockpick it. We can't get in. It's an abandoned house. Brian's going to use his stroke to smash down to door.
There was a bit where, so we went into, we've started kind of a new investigation as well. And this one's kind of proving a bit more difficult, I think. We're not picking up as many vibes as we would with the other one. But there's a really funny part where we're coming through and we found like a secret entrance to a door. To a basement, sorry. And went in it, did a little bit, and then we tried getting through, and then we were like, Phil was like, "Oh, the hatch is kind of, you can get through it, but it's kind of being held down by rubble." So we were like, "Oh, well, can we let And Brian was like, well, I'll use my strength kind of thing. And then we were like, oh, we'll all chip in to add bonus dice. He fucking smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. Just literally went, Brian lift! And just lifted this beam. And we were like, oh, well, okay, I guess it just no, doesn't need us. So good.
Oh, man.
Very funny.
Well, I've got one more thing to talk about.
Oh, one more thing.
And that is I've been doing some video game board gaming video
board gaming.
I've been playing a little Catan and Carcassonne on the Switch. They're pretty decent versions of it. I will say I'm not online with my Switch, so I can't like play with other people or anything like that. Maybe I probably should get something like that, because Catan...
I quite like Catan.
...requires a bit of that. Yeah, but at the same time, it kind of requires some discussion between players. Like, when you're trading and things like that, I don't know, there's something that I don't quite enjoy so much about selecting a card, one that you want for it, and then seeing who will take the deal and who won't. Sometimes it's nice to actually have that conversation.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, you know? I don't think... Is there chat functionality on the Switch?
Yeah, kind of.
I know Nintendo usually stay away from it.
It runs through an app on your phone instead of... so you need the app on your phone.
Okay.
And then I think it only... It depends on the game. I think it depends on each game whether or not they give you the chat. I know, like, Fortnite, you could just literally plug in your headset and just chat. But I know, like, Splatoon 2 and something else like Mario Kart, you have to see if they've got apt for it, but I think it's most games now.
Yeah. Carcassonne is fun, but it's a son of a bitch as well. Because you can always guarantee... I think I had a turn on there where 3 turns in a row, the computer got monasteries, and I didn't get a single one throughout the entire game. And have you played Carcassonne at all?
Me?
Either.
Yeah. Well, no, weirdly I haven't. I've only actually played the game version.
Yeah, but you know how it plays.
Yeah, like you put like the different things down, and like you build like the paths and the houses and stuff. And
do you not find that on there you always have the worst luck in the world?
Oh yeah,
and the computer players always get everything on.
So
there.
like,
it's just so frustrating.
I set up like a huge, and I'm talking huge settlement plan, where all I need is that corner piece which kind of circles off, and it would build a massive walled off city, and I've got people in there as well, so it's going to give me absolute tons of points. And then towards the end I'm like waiting, and it's all like those weird cross sections or like whatever, and I kind of go and then they get it and finish my thing off, and it completely absolutely like ruins it. And I'm like, great, so they get all the points and all the stuff. And then it does the tallying at the end, and it'll be like, I got like 100. I'm like, oh, brilliant. They got nearly like 300. And you're like, how are they doing this?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's quite unforgiving.
It feels like... It sometimes feels, very, very unforgiving. But, hey, I imagine it will be a fun one if can actually get playing with, say, some friends on there or something like that. But... yeah, I still quite enjoy playing it though. It's just obviously you get that frustration.
You guys moaning about this reminded me of a meme I saw earlier today, which it's just got Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter looking at Harry, Ron and Hermione and saying, why is it when something bad happens it's always you three? And over their faces it's got the words lag, hackers and bullshit. It's you two, why is that? And the bots in the game always get the best luck. And
honestly, in Carcassonne, it's ridiculous though. Like,
so
the amount of luck the computer has. So you guys know how the monasteries work, yeah?
Vaguely, yeah, I think so.
So when you put a monastery down, the idea is you get a point for every tile that's put around it. So in other words, you can put it somewhere where you know someone else is currently building, so they kind of like can finish it off for you, and you just get points for what they're doing. But if you start getting loads in a row, you can start putting your monasteries next to one another. And essentially, I had 2 computer players that were both doing it in this game. And yeah, Muggins here was getting absolutely none. Oh, God. Super frustrating. Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on to some news?
I guess we should take that news.
News.
Okay.
News.
And I believe we only have one piece of news this week, which is the Golden Geek Awards for 2019, for last year. They have announced the winners of it.
Ooh.
So, have you guys got any predictions as to what would win Game of the Year from last year?
Wingspan might be on there, I guess, but
It might be on there.
Trying to think. How about what's it called? You know what I mean. Quacks.
oh,
Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yeah.
Let's find out, shall we? Okay, Board Game of the Year. So we'll start with the big one. The winner, Wingspan. Runners up are Paladins of the West Kingdom and Tapestry. So the only one out of those three that any of us have played, and it was just me, is Wingspan, and I didn't really like it. So
fair enough.
that's a good start. This is a great start here. Best two-player games. In fairness, we didn't really play too many two-player games last year. We've been doing more this year. The winner of that one was Watergate, and the two runners-up were Undaunted Normandy and Blitzkrieg World War II in 20 minutes, which
Wow.
I've actually heard is very, very good.
That sounds kinda cool,
and
actually.
It looked super interesting, and is something I really want to try at some point. Artwork presentation. Winner, Wingspan. And in all fairness, if we're talking art presentation, I can completely understand that. It is a beautiful piece of work.
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue it too much, especially with like the dice tower as well, like made into a birdhouse. Just really, really cool. The runners-up for that one were Parks and Tapestry again. So again, we're on a roll here. We really played a lot of these games.
Was Quacks even this year?
It might have been the year before, in 2018. And to be honest, we'll find some of that amongst this list. Because I know there's definitely some things that have won in this list that only got released in the UK this year. So, bear in mind, this is an American company doing it, so it's based on their release system compared to ours. The best card game, the winner, Wingspan. Runners-up were The Crew, and hey, we've played this one, Marvel Champions, the card game.
So I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm reading the same list as you are, and I'm actually disappointed.
Just hang on. We'll get to everything else.
Yeah, no, it's just carry on.
Yeah. So best cooperative game. The winner is The Crew, which is kind of like a really neat. It's almost like a trick-taking game. It's a small box, but you can barely get hold of it. I've been trying and failing, but The Crew, I believe, was only out this year in the UK, so we kind of wouldn't be expected to have played that just yet. The runners-up for the cooperative game are Marvel Champions and Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth.
Yeah,
which
we've played.
We have played, and so we've played both Marvel Champions and Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. I think both of those are good shouts.
Yeah, to be fair.
Best cooperative game. Really enjoyed both of them. I'm trying to think what other cooperative games we might have played last year. Oh, Letter Jam. That's a cooperative game.
Yeah. I suppose we
know.
did play. Did Blackstone Fortress come out last year, or was that the year before?
It was the year before. Yeah. Best expansions. Wingspan European expansion was the winner there. The runners-up were the Quacks of Quedlinburg, Herb Witches expansion, and Turmoil Terraforming Mars expansion. Best family game, winner, Wingspan. And the runners-up were Azul and Tiny Tiny Towns, which we did really enjoy.
Yeah,
That's good.
I love Tiny Towns.
Yeah.
Tiny Towns.
I'm going to make a comment now.
Wait, no, trust me, you're going to want to wait.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to wait.
Most innovative game released this year. Winner. Can you guess?
Is it? Is it? I'm trying to think of a really innovative game.
Because I think this is the one which I do kind of disagree with.
Yeah, this is why I'm umming. Is there something that's really good but really innovative and different?
Yeah.
It's not that. That's not.
The winner's Wingspan.
Yeah, I know it is. Shouldn't be.
I'll just get to it. I'll just finally do it. Yeah, I feel as if there were more innovative games than Wingspan out there this year. I know you two guys can't really comment.
This is what I was going to say. I can't really comment as I've not played it. But
yeah.
I want
to win every single category feels like a dick thing to do.
It does a bit.
It kind of dilutes the joy of the awards, which is really singling out games based on how good they are for certain audiences. And Wingspan, probably, there are people who enjoy it, and yes, it probably could be described as some sort of jack of all trades. But there must be.
It's interesting that a couple of the other ones...
There are games on that list that I think are more fun.
Yeah.
I've not played it, so I'm completely unqualified to say that, and I admit that, and I'm okay with it. But I'm going to say it anyway, because I'm allowed to. I have an opinion. It's probably wrong, but, you can't tell me that.
I think the thing is I actually am going to use Letter Jam as the example here. I can't remember playing another game that's quite like Letter Jam. It has elements of Hanabi to it, but there's something that feels more unique about it.
Steve, name 2 other games exactly like Wingspan.
Well, it essentially is a card drafting game at the end of the day. So if you name a card drafting game, you've pretty much got it. So my problem is I'm now struggling to think of card drafting games. So,
if you can't name 2 games, we have to accept that it's innovative.
I suppose we'll accept that it's innovative then. The runners-up to that though is The Crew and Wavelength. Wavelength again it only got released in February this year in this country, so we were never going to play that and put that on our 2019 list. The best party game, the winner is Wavelength. Again, like I just said, we didn't have it in this country. The runners-up were Letter Jam and Men at Work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you know what? I'm gonna say something here. I'm just looking at Wavelength now, and I'm gonna say, looks-wise, I actually think that looks banging.
It does look really good.
It's got like a weird kind of colour scheme to it, which I really like.
It's got a lot of really neat kind of toys to it as well. It's essentially like a big toy kind of thing. And yeah, it just generally looks quite neat in general. It's kind of like it's one of these things where one person poses a question and everyone else tries to guess how they would answer it based on this scale. Yeah. Where you're kind of like turning this knob and there's kind of like this reveal window kind of thing. It looks really, really cool. It does look really, really good. It's something I really want to play, but yeah. Odds best solo game. The winner is Wingspan. And the runners-up. The runners-up are Marvel Champions, which... I've got a problem with games that have an AI that you play against, and that's basically how Wingspan works. Marvel Champions actually feels like a more solid one-player game than Wingspan, I mean, if I'm perfectly honest with you.
Technically, you're almost controlling the AI somewhat, but
you do that in the game anyway.
Yeah, you know? So it doesn't really matter because the 2-player version, the 4-player version, whoever it is, DM if you will, is still drafting the villain cards as they would, so it doesn't matter necessarily. It's not like it's randomized as well, which anyway,
yeah. But I'm just going to say, if you're putting Wingspan as your solo game winner, then it starts feeling like there's real bias here.
It's just like, diluted, isn't it? It was a very popular game, so it's been given all the awards.
I feel like that won the best strategy game.
There must be other games out there that deserve some praise.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Yeah. Can you guess what the best strategy game is?
Is it the Europa Universalis game?
To be fair,
It is Wingspan again.
did you? I really wanted to watch someone play that. Like, we never got a chance.
Oh god, yeah. When we were at the
Because that was
UK Game
huge.
Expo
You
last
needed
year,
like,
yeah.
you needed at least like a table that was.
I do want to buy it.
Oh
play
mate,
it.
devote all of your life
They
to
had
it.
a demo, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Do you
They
know
had a
something?
demo,
Just
and the
talking-
guy was just like, "You're gonna be here a while."
Didn't they say wasn't
Okay.
they time limited or something?
Yeah, I think it was like a. You got like. I can't remember how much it was, but like they already set all everything up for you, and you kind of just paid a little one campaign-y bit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, the best strategy game was Wingspan. The runners-up were Maracaibo and Paladins of the West Kingdom. Thematic games, so games based on a license. The winner of that one is Dune.
I will agree with that.
The runners-up were Star Wars Outer Rim and Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. And here's the thing, Star Wars Outer Rim, I remember when it first came out, the reviews for it were not glowing. Like, I quite enjoy Star Wars Outer Rim.
I think
I do
we
genuinely
were
enjoy
disappointed, weren't we, that a lot of the reviews were
Quite negative.
it was all right, but it could have been
It was
better.
mediocre.
It's
Yeah.
being held quite high by its franchise, I guess, rather than its quality as a game.
But when you talk to individual, like anyone who's played it, they're all like, "Yeah, it's a great game." Which is kind of like,
Yeah.
well,
This is how I feel about Solo, the Star Wars film, because I've never met someone who didn't like Solo, but it's got
Yeah.
loads of bad reviews.
I wouldn't say it was my
Yeah.
favourite one. It's
No,
better
I'm
on
not-
multiple times.
But, like, it's all of its reviews are like, this film is garbage. But
Yeah.
it's just, sorry,
Oh, it's alright. The best war game of the year was Wingspan. And
What?
the runners-up were... no.
I'm reading the same list, and I'm like, hold on.
you triggered me so hard there. Like, I went to get up. I almost lost my mind.
Yeah, the winner was Undaunted Normandy. The runners-up were U-Boot the Board Game and Blitzkrieg World War II in 20 minutes. And then the best podcast we...
Everybody dies!
So we'll leave it there.
Outrageous.
Absolutely shocking. Poor
Yeah.
choice.
How many of them talk about pineapples?
Oh, yeah, and where it lies within the sweet scale to savoury scale. Not good.
Yeah. Any of them threaten to eat the elderly? I don't think so.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's the news. That's all
That's
we've
the
got
news.
this week.
Can we just
So-
dissect that a little bit?
Yeah, let's dissect it a little
I
bit.
would
What were we
say,
dissecting?
like, don't get me wrong, like, we had this before where it was like Root was quite high up in a lot of games,
Yeah.
awards.
It didn't sweep like this, though.
No, but this feels very much like. I don't know, because.
Do you know what it feels like to me? This very much feels to me like this went down to a fan vote
Yeah.
for the whole lot.
Well, it's kind of crazy because if you look at you look at all the different things, right? So you've got a couple that follow up in different ones. So obviously there's the Crew, which comes up quite a few times. The Undaunted Normandy comes up twice. Paladins and Marvel Champions pops up a few times. Now, the thing I find weird is the best two-player game, Wingspan isn't on that.
Yeah.
But then it's the best card game, it's the best family game.
Strategy
Yeah, it's best.
game, best family
But surely,
game.
if it was,
Yeah.
surely it would come in everything if it was that good. Because surely the two-player game would be just as good as the single-player game, and it doesn't even pop up in a cooperative game. I'm not sure if it's cooperative, but still, it's kind of, it's weird, isn't it? That the stuff that it comes up in, it doesn't seem to win completely across the board.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is the Golden Geek Award is voted on by fans.
Yeah,
And as we know, the public are idiots.
Yep.
being some.
As the voice of the people.
Vote for us as the best podcast next year on the
We'll abuse you more.
Idiots! You idiots!
You've beansed it this year! Try harder!
Oh man. But yeah, it kind of makes you feel like
Somebody's watching
rather-
me.
you'd rather see
Sorry.
the people at Board Game Geek do their own award systems where they've got just say 6 people that are deciding what are the best games and stuff like that, to give it a bit of variance, because it just seems like when you get something that has a massive following like Wingspan, you could put it in any old category and it will win it. It's not really thought upon. It's just people going in and saying, I love Wingspan, I'm voting for that, you know, without necessarily thinking through where it should land, because there are certain categories in there where I feel
this is like when an
should.
online poll goes up for goal of the season and all of the Arsenal fans come out of their caves and vote for whatever goal Arsenal scored that season. And it's not the best goal, but it is the best goal that Arsenal scored, and it's because they have a large online presence. And this poll feels a bit like that. You get a feel about the better games because they come second and third, but because there's such a strong presence for Wingspan, everyone's going to vote for it, and it kind of skews it a little bit.
Honestly, I'll go on record here and say that my hatred of Wingspan is exaggerated. I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think it's as good a game as people make it out to be. I think that's really what drives me nuts. I don't understand what Steve's saying. The other day, he bought a copy just so he could set fire to it in his garden.
And that wasn't the first time.
To be honest, when people were struggling to actually buy it at the beginning of the year, that was all me.
He bought 80 copies and just took some down the dump, threw some into the ocean.
I heat my house on unwanted copies of Wingspan.
It's all insulation and padding. Yeah, if you've ever been in the games room, it's very toasty.
Yeah.
Honestly, 100%. I know we joke.
He's got it just instead of toilet paper. He's just got like the rules. Just this really scabby copy of the Wingspan rules, just covered in feces.
Yeah, all joking aside, I do actually genuinely want to play it because I was interested in it when it first came out, because a lot of I do choose some of my game choices on artwork alone. If the box art is fantastic, I absolutely love it. So, you know, I picked up that Evolution game purely based on the fact the artwork's very similar, kind of that kind of like drawn pictures almost. The game.
Can I excite you, Daryl, just really quickly?
Go on.
I got my copy of Oceans today.
Oh,
the follow up.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to trying that in a year's time.
In a year's time, Christmas 2021. But yeah, I genuinely want to play Wingspan just to see what all the fuss is about. You know,
I absolutely love this. It's just us ripping on Wingspan and then two of us going, yeah, we should really play it sometime.
Well, no, we planned on right. So we plan on doing something where we play a game where some of us don't like, give it a second chance. And we're planning on doing it with a few games, and one of them was Wingspan we were talking about. Whereas me and Ian haven't played it, we just want to see if the hatred is genuine, which it is. But is it just a personal preference, or is it we as a sort of unit kind of feel the same? Because a lot of the times we do have we have different opinions on games, but overall, if something is bad, we kind of go, it's not great.
I think my hatred that comes from Wingspan is based on its inflated popularity compared to how good the actual game is. Because the game's still good. The game is good, but that's where I'd usually leave it. I would say it's good. It's fine. It's playable.
It works.
You can have a bit of fun with it. But there's stuff that happened when we played it that left not just me, but the other people that were playing it very, very sour. I mean, you were there when I bought Wingspan when we were at Entoyment that time, and I was actually quite excited to get it home and try it, because it was this game that everyone's talking about and is saying is great. And genuinely, it was kind of like I was a little disappointed coming out of playing it, because it was one of those things which I felt was just built up too much. Anyway, shall we move on at this point?
I guess we should.
Sure.
Cool. and we have an audience question to answer. Right, and this is from Kurt Bourne, who asks, after a miserable start to 2020, which games would you guys recommend getting right now? Thank you very much for everything you do, and I really enjoy the podcast. Thanks, guys.
Can you be more specific in the things you're thanking me for? I'd like a formatted list of things that I do that you appreciate.
For God's sake.
I'm assuming.
I believe your Twitter handle should be on screen right now, so by all means, Kurt, Ian is available on YouTube.
By all means, harass me on Twitter, and I won't read it.
Do you know what? I really like
my Twitter.
You're asking for this, Ian.
I haven't opened my Twitter for several months.
You're literally asking for this. Oh, God.
You can harass me all you like. I turned notifications off a long time ago.
Thank you very much for your question. We really appreciate getting these, and if you would like to submit your own one, you can do at mailbag@everybodydice.com, or you can just tweet it at us. But yeah, so it's quite easy to assume that the miserable start to 2020 is the current situation we find ourselves in terms of social distancing and not being able to play games, I'm guessing. I mean, really, it depends on your situation, so I would say... what game? I would say it's games with a low player count, if not solo games. At which point I would definitely say probably your living card games are probably quite good in this situation. So like your Marvel Champions, your Arkham Horrors, you know, those kind of games which do have those inclusions for low player count. So you don't have to play it solo, you can play it with another person as well. I would say they're a good start.
So I was going to recommend games, like card games, that you can scan in and use on an online equivalent.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right,
so you can keep on the online aspect of playing against people. That's probably a good one.
Like Keyforge.
Yeah, or...
Yeah.
I know you...
The Warhammer one.
Well, Keyforge you don't actually play, do
No,
you,
that
with
one's
codes and
only...
stuff. Keyforge is...
It's more of like a library?
library
Yeah.
of what you have.
I would say...
Oh, that's a shame. I thought there was a game.
No,
No,
not currently.
I'm
Not
afraid not.
currently. I would say one that we all kind of liked a little bit of, and it's quite similar, is the Warhammer Champions.
Yeah.
That's got quite a nice
I
one.
was going to go for Lightseekers.
But they're both the same,
Yeah,
essentially,
like-
aren't they? Like,
They are the
Yeah.
same game,
To some degree, the Pokemon TCG as well.
yep.
Yeah, definitely. We've already talked about Chronicles of Crime on the last podcast as well. That, again, is one I would
That's
highly
been
recommend.
my stalwart for lockdown. Been playing
Yeah.
that loads.
Yeah. I would say if you're after something more miniatures-based, Core Space actually has rules for a solo campaign. So if that's what you're craving, I know it's not strictly a miniatures game. It's somewhere caught between a miniatures game, a board game, and an RPG. But obviously those RPG elements kind of allow you to do a prolonged campaign in it, in single player. It's also very different. It's not a war game either. It's very different. It's really unique, really interesting. I would say that's a good one to look out for. What else kind of works with a low player count?
Anything with like an AI element to it, I guess. Some vary. They can be horrendously bad ones. They can be horrendously, like, ridiculously difficult ones.
I generally, like I said, I generally tend to dislike solo games with AI. Generally.
Yeah, I mean, you've played. What was the one? The Villagers I lent you, didn't I? And you played that, and you said that was
Yeah,
very
I didn't
tough.
really enjoy that. Yeah.
To be fair, that's quite a low player count. That works quite well. But
How about
I
the Judge
mentioned-
Dredd game that we played that was
Yeah.
really, really punishing?
Oh, the Cursed Earth one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one which we're not the
That would
miniatures-based
be
one, the
really
card-based
good,
one.
and the reason being is that you're going to have to try a few times to get anywhere with it, and you can sort of learn from your mistakes and keep trying.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
it's quick as well.
What was the one you made well, you made me, like you forced me. You let me play the one that's almost like quite an RPG style thing. We have to survive.
Yeah,
That
Unbroken.
one, I actually really liked that because it had an aspect of you kind of almost create a character, sort of. You have like options and you can start stacking up abilities and giving yourself like different weapons and sort of it's like a dungeon crawling game essentially, but it has an aspect of
like
I don't know. It's like you have to kind of keep an eye on a lot of things, which is quite interesting.
it's like one of the like you died of hunger.
Yeah,
I
which
believe,
is
when you played it,
which was something that I
So-
didn't really pay attention to. I was too busy on trying to get through each individual. Very, very good.
yeah. So the idea in that game is that basically an RPG has basically played out and your entire party has been wiped out except for you, and you're left pretty much broken, injured, with nothing at all,
Yeah.
and you have to try and escape from where you are. You are dying of hunger, so you have to try and find food, but at the same time you've got 4 boss characters you need to get through in order to get out. You can either sneak past them or you can actually fight them, although the 4th one you are forced to fight, so if you sneak past too many, you haven't got enough equipment usually to be able to get past the last boss. But yeah, it's a really fun, quick game. It takes like 20 minutes and it's really easy to understand. It has kind of like a quick start.
Yeah, like a
guide.
flowchart almost. Weirdly.
Yeah, and it guides you through everything. You can pretty much, although the rule book is actually quite wordy, the flowchart makes it really easy to actually play through, and then just reference the guide if you have any conflicts of rules and stuff like that. I've already mentioned games at the beginning of this podcast as well. Railroad Inc. and Zaya, I would say, are both games that are worth looking at. Rallyman, although I've talked about the solo mode, I would not buy that for the solo mode. It's going to be a hell of a lot more fun when you've actually got people to play with. Perhaps if you've got, if you're, we don't really know your situation. If you're kind of like, say, in a small household with 3 people, something like Rallyman would be great.
To be fair, if it's like like small household stuff like Clask, dexterity games, anything like that will be.
buy yourself a £200 crocodile table.
Well,
that's what
you can buy the smaller ones, and I think for like just sort of personal use, they're really really good. I was thinking of some other stuff, but I can't remember what it was. Like, I had them on the top of my tongue. But yeah, essentially it's like that was it. If it's like 2 or few more players, you can King of Tokyo, stuff like that. Just generally, there's enough out there that are like from 1 player, 2 player type thing, which is the sweet spot. And if it's 1 player, there's loads of those as well. So it's kind of whether you go for a game that is specifically designed for 1 player, or you want one where you can branch out into a few extra ones with other people. If you know,
I think the ideal is having a game that it's good fun to play by yourself. But something you can learn to show people once you come out of lockdown.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
So in a way,
the perfect balance.
Ideally, it will be the living card games.
Yeah, I mean that's not to say you can't do stuff like Chronicle of Crime.
Oh no, 100%. Chronicle of Crime is like the most easiest, perfect game to teach people and show other people. It's fantastic.
But there's a lot of games that fit the remit of you can play it single player and then you can show other people. Like Railroad Inc. Yeah, it's another perfect example.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's literally, there are 2 different types of game you can look at. Like Ian said, a game that you can learn in the single player modes, or the modes with smaller people, ready to play with more people when we get out of the situation we find ourselves in. Or a game that is both compelling and has a long kind of drawn out story mode almost, that you can play for a bit, go away, come back to, play a bit more. I think they're the 2 types of games you're really looking at the moment to try and get into. Although I will say, if you were looking at getting into Arkham Horror, you probably need deep pockets, because right now that stuff is way too expensive, because people are horrible and are extorting people out of money. So I would say hang on and wait for places to stock up again with stuff like that. Right. Sorry, that got a bit miserable towards the end of that. We've got a big topic to cover.
Big old
So
topic.
let's do that. When will be safe to start gaming in groups again? So this obviously is going to differ depending on where in the world that you're currently living.
It's also no, not really, because it's one of those. When is it safe? I mean, it's legal to do it in some places. It's not safe.
Yeah, but some countries are obviously, for example, we're in a particularly bad hit place in the UK.
Not our region of the UK. Our region of the UK is fine. It's just the UK in general.
It's
is
mostly London. London is the real area.
Birmingham as well. Hard. People just wander around licking shit. So
I swear we've had a Birmingham rant on the podcast before. I'm pretty sure we have.
Oh yeah, Ian went on about it last time. Well, not last time, but time before.
To be fair, I have been told off about that since, and I've been told they do have running water now.
No. Oh my Christ.
So, I would say if you're
some of them even know how to read
desperate,
at the minute, and they leave Birmingham as soon as they can. So they read there's other places. Sorry. It's awful!
I will say right now, if you are absolutely desperate to get back with a gaming group and start playing, I would still say wait until at least they're allowing bars and stuff to start opening again, because that's a very similar environment in terms of you're going to be sat round a table with people from other households in a fairly confined space. Like the table, should I say, is the confined area. I know they can sometimes be in big open areas. In terms of legal, can you do this? I would say that's the time. But whether you should or not is a completely different question. You know, like I say, I just feel like they're two similar environments. If people are going out and eating in restaurants around other people eating in restaurants, and you're mixing households and stuff, that's no different from sitting around someone's table and playing a game, because essentially, if you're going to catch something from being in a restaurant or a bar, you're probably going to bring it home anyway. If you've got people actually in your house, it's just the same sort of problem again. Like I said, though, I don't know whether you necessarily should be. I don't know what your guys' take on this is. Like,
I mean, I'm of the personal belief that why take the risk? Like, if it's not essential, you shouldn't be putting yourself at that sort of risk.
No.
100%.
And with as much as I love the hobby, it's not an essential hobby. It just isn't.
It's not.
And there are many workarounds. Like, I know the discussion is when is it safe to get back in a game group? You don't need to if you really want to play some game. There are some games out there you just don't need to be part of a game group to play, and obviously we've discussed them as part of the particularly well-crafted audience question this week.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly reasonable, and it fits our theme really, really well. So
yeah.
That's my answer to the question: is listen to the last 15 minutes of the podcast and maybe skip past the bit where I get angry at Birmingham.
Jeez.
But like,
put a timestamp.
In general, we shouldn't be trying or encouraging people to unnecessarily leave the house and meet other people yet. Yeah. I personally believe some stores are opening, and that's an open invitation for people to go out of their houses when it's non-essential to do so, and I disagree with that. So,
yeah,
I think it's safe to say 40,000 people have died, and more are going to die if people take the stance that they can just leave their house and do whatever they want all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring the tone down.
No, but I mean, it's true. I mean, in terms of coming out of the lockdown and stuff like that, for example, the measures we took before we even went into lockdown, we shut down our gaming group like a good couple of couple of weeks before.
I think it was.
They did the stay-at-home order, because it wasn't worth the risk of it. We currently are. So we've already explained this to our patrons as well. The monthly video review poll that we do, we desperately need to play Plunderbund from last month, because that's the game that the patrons wanted us to review. We just can't do it because we can't safely get in a group together and actually play this game. And if the risk's too much, then we can only promise that we're going to review that when it's safe, and the review will eventually be done. It's just when it gets done, I don't know. And it'll be the same for the review poll that goes up this month as well. Which I think is currently being led by... Sorry, this suddenly seems like a cheap plug for the Patreon. It's currently being led by Cosmic Encounters Duel. So, I would almost say that getting back to playing board games is, it's just as essential for us as it would be for anyone else, but we're not going to rush back into it, When do you put a date on it? I don't think you do. Even
it's a week by week thing, isn't it? Like you can't just go right. I reckon it would be safe now. You just sort of have to take it as it comes. You can't go in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to start my game group. It should be fine by then. It's not a realistic outlook to have, sadly.
No,
I mean the thing is small stores are opening. They've said small stores at the moment are scheduled to open on the 1st of June. That could change. They haven't said they will open.
It's not a
on the 1st of
definitive.
June.
That's the problem.
No, it's not. The bars, like, if I was to put this down to an absolute date or something like that, I wouldn't be able to. It's like the bars and pubs, they say, at the moment, they're projecting they'll start opening again on the 1st of July, which I think is very ambitious. So do we say... okay, it should be safe to board game again on the 1st of July. No, you can't say that at all, because things can very quickly change. We could end up having to go into a second lockdown. We just don't know.
No. I think as in general, I don't want to be a scaremonger, but I think we should be expecting there to be a second wave. This happens roughly every 100 years or so, doesn't it? And it happened
it was
with
Spanish flu last time.
Spanish flu, the second wave killed like 4 million people or something.
Yeah. But, I mean, I hate to say it, but I personally feel like one long lockdown is better than two.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it is better because businesses can't re-enter staff into furlough once they've taken them out.
yeah, which is kind of what it looks like they're kind of doing in this country, because they've extended the furlough period up to October. But in July... it drops from 80% of wages being paid to 60%. So in other words, if we go out of lockdown and then have to go back into lockdown, second time around it'll only be 60%. It won't be like we've been getting paid by the government right now, if you're lucky enough to be furloughed. You can see that they've put measures in place for going into a second lockdown. It's just kind of, I don't know whether we should even be risking it, really,
Yeah, I think we should be extending what we're at rather than looking to come out and looking to get back in again. I mean, businesses are going to suffer enough as it is. If we go into a second lockdown, it's going to affect their winter holiday revenue or Christmas stuff. Where that's where companies are going to start making their money back really quickly. Especially in the retail sector, which I guess I'm more slightly biased towards working in it. But
anyway,
yeah.
I think that's as good an answer as we can give. Really, it's a case of when it's safe.
But when can you start your gaming group again? Not yet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Definitely.
Wait it out and see how it goes, because it will change at one point.
Honestly, I feel like at the moment, well, not even at the moment, in the current sort of time. It seems like so many people that are trying to game are gaming online. They're making do with Skype, Discord, cameras, like
board game simulator.
Yeah, like there are ways
keeping a lot of people's itch afloat.
100%. I mean, I've seen people. They're still hosting regular D&D games. Like, I mean, we are obviously, but like other people are doing it like on a bigger scale because they normally do it every like Friday or Thursday or whenever. I think Steve, didn't you say that some people have gone as far as sending off Gloomhaven packets to people in the post, so they have their characters, and then like one guy just films his whole set of it and then just moves the components and stuff. Like, how cool is that? To play a game that essentially you need a dedicated group of people with, and these people are dedicated because he's sent them the posted their their character packs to them. I mean, that just goes to show like there are ways around this.
There definitely are. Cool. I think at that we will probably bring this to a close because we're approaching the hour and a half mark. So yeah, if you would like to send us an audience question like we've had today, you can do it at mailbag@everybodydice.com. If you would like to follow us on the social medias, you can do at everybodydice for Twitter and at everybodydice for Instagram. We also have a Facebook page you can find at facebook.com/everybodydice, and we also have our Patreon page you can find at patreon.com/everybodydice. Hopefully there'll be videos on this side of the screen right now. Please, if you've enjoyed this video, do go
Steve.
and click them. Yes, click them.
No, lick the video. Go on, get it. Yeah, get it nice and wet.
Okay, that's enough of that.
More.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye.
Bye.